All, this is Dr. Mobeen Sayed from Drbeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So today we're going to talk about Sinopharm's vaccine, which is, I'll show you the name. I think it is BBIBP-CorV or core virus vaccine. I had to dig up the data from a lot of places. There is not sufficient data, but still enough for us to kind of look at it and make up our mind about this vaccine. So let's start. And Margaret, I can see you today. So hey, Margaret. And Mr. J, thank you very much. You said that this is what you look forward to. Me too. I look forward to these discussions as well. So let's start. Mr. J said, video just kicked in for me. Weird, yeah. Okay, so ready? Let's start. Let's do this and then we'll have our chit chat. Okay, cool. So this is drbeen.com. And here are the links that I've used. This is, of course, the link that I keep an eye on almost on a daily basis. And that is the Bloomberg vaccine tracker. Overall in the world, 159 million doses, 48 million doses in the US, about 1.62 million doses per day in the US, which is excellent. And the other thing that is interesting is the worldometer coronavirus. Look at this here. Look at these numbers. This is, I mean, after suffering the pandemic for almost a whole year, and now WHO is saying that it is possible that the virus was spreading in China and Europe somewhere even in October of the 2019. So after all of that, look at this, the worldwide cases are dropping, and so are the worldwide number of deaths as well. That is a very, very important thing. And I do not think it is just something to do with the vaccines, because it's only 105 million vaccines. I think there is more than that. And I don't think that this is just the people have become much more better at social distancing. I think we spent a year together thinking about social distancing and masks and everything. I think there is something to do with the herd immunity development and the viruses changes as well. And then in here, being selfish for US, my country. So here, 28 million cases, really sad that 486,922 deaths. And if you see here, this is what really is interesting, that the total cases are going to become now flattened. And if you see here, daily new cases, look at this, they are dropping and significantly. And then look at this, active cases are dropping. Total deaths are going to hopefully flatten out, because here these are dropping as well. So these are good news. I would love to see Israel as well, or Israel as well, just to see how are they doing. So something is going on. When I am sharing my screen, sometimes this is what happens, that my page hangs. So 1 second. I'll do this. Worldometer Israel. That will be faster. So here, 714,812 cases, 5,283 deaths, and total cases are still going up. But here, daily new cases are going downwards. Not as down as I would like, but still, they're still going downwards. That is the important thing. Number of deaths are still, they're not that drastically reduced. So this is still something that confuses me, that compared to the population that has become vaccinated, is this the correct decline in cases? So we should do one more analysis, deeper analysis. So with this, let's start. So this is Dr. Bean. This is the Bloomberg. We just looked at it. Looked at that. Now here's the thing. For this vaccine, I had to dig data from a lot of places. I think I was sitting here since 2 or 3 o'clock and just finding articles. So one article would give me one sentence or two sentences, and then I'll go somewhere else because the data is not sitting somewhere in one document. So here is the one article. And this article, what did I pick up from here? I think the number of shots, probably, efficacy. Then this is the Fierce Pharma. And from here, I took some data about the pricing and cost, because it seems like Sinopharm's vaccine is very costly. And I would show you in a second. Then I took the cost for comparison with the India's vaccine as well, because that vaccine is also inactivated virus. And so this Sinopharm is also inactivated virus. So they should have some comparative prices. But the price difference is that India's vaccine is $13 or $14 per dose for the private market and $2 or $3 per dose for India's own market. And here we would look at Sinopharm's 2 doses, almost $145 or lesser. That's a very high price. Then here is the Sputnik V. And I was looking to use this word again because I think when I talked about this vaccine, I pronounced it wrong. So I called it Sputnik, and V for instead of vaccine, I called it 5. So then Cool Beans corrected me that the pronunciation is Sputnik, and then it is for V for vaccine, not for 5. And if you see here, this is their price. Lesser than 20 for 2 doses. So that is lesser than 10 per dose. Here, I needed to figure out how many jabs are needed. And somebody had in Fortune, somebody had put their experience with the vaccine. And so over there, I could go and figure out that it is actually 2 jabs and about 21 days apart. So this person, Will Henry, is the one who got the vaccine. And so I had to sift this from this article. This is Sinopharm's own page. Here, the data that they have given, this is some data, but this data is actually from their, their chairman's interview. So the data is not separately present. We have to kind of hear him out, and that is how we know the data that they want to give us. This is a Wikipedia article. I do not know how accurate it is about this and how much data did they have. Then Pakistan has approved this as well. We'll look at many other countries that have approved Sinopharm's vaccine. Here is vaccine scores approval in China. Then this is an interesting article about looking beyond the trials. I'm just introducing you to the links that I have in the description. So here, this is vaccines in general, BBC. And finally, we were just looking at Israel. So now let's look at my way of presenting this data. So first of all, Sinopharm vaccine, it is actually not Sinopharm. It is the company name. It is a state-owned Chinese company named Sinopharm. And the vaccine name is BBIBP-CorV. So BBIBP coronavirus vaccine. So they, I think, have 2 candidates for the vaccine. This is one of them, which is more used and more approved. The dose and volume, for example, is it 0.5 milliliter or how many inactivated viruses in it? I could not find that. So that is still up in the air. Vaccine type, inactivated virus. So this is a similar vaccine as from India as well. 2 shots. I had to go figure this out, that where are the 2, almost 20 days apart. I do not have the exact number. Is it 20 days, 21 days, 28 days? This person who had his experience, he had tweeted that on 10th January, he had the first dose. And then end of January, he had the second dose. From there, I inferred that this is about 20 days. Phase 3 trials are in process in many countries. So they are looking for trials for 60,000 people. Trials are going on in countries like Argentina, Bahrain, Egypt, Morocco, Morocco again, Pakistan, Peru, UAE, and so on. Administered dose. So the number of doses that have been administered already, regardless of the phases. They say that by November 2020, they had within China, they had administered more than 1 million doses. And by now they say that we have administered more than 10 million doses. And I would show you the reference so that we are on the same page. So if you see here, this is the Sinopharm's own page and their chairman's interview. And if you see here, over 10 million doses have been administered across the nation. So that is within China. Interesting. So not much data yet, but they have enough confidence that they have given it to their folks 10 million doses. Interestingly, they said no severe side effect during this all. That is also very interesting for me. Phase 3 efficacy. Company reported the efficacy to be 79.34%. UAE also reported the efficacy when they approved it, and they reported it to be 86%. Company was asked, Sinopharm was asked that, hey, why is this difference? And they did not comment. But I can actually think, I mean, it's not all some conspiracy from China. I can actually think that depending upon the type of demography and then the number of people in it, it is possible that the efficacy numbers can differ. Just like with Pfizer and Moderna, we are seeing that as they are scaling up, their efficacy numbers are differing. In some cases, their numbers are improving as well, like after the first shot. Storage. This is interesting. They do not need the cold chain. So 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. So that is the same thing as normal refrigeration. Capacity, how many vaccines they can make. So in 2020, they made 100 million vaccines. And in 2021, they say that they have a capacity to produce 1 billion doses. Age that it is approved for or age for which they have tested, 18 years and above. So below that, they have not. Side effects. So it is sitting down here because I had to go find it. And if you see here, it is actually. So they say that when we give the vaccine, the recipient should stay for another 30 minutes for observation, etc. 18 years. And you would see side effects. Let me just quickly find it. My machine is hanging today. Serious. So here, adverse reaction. So they say that we monitor the reaction. Sinopharm and CNBG's COVID-19 vaccine has been vaccinated more than 10 million doses, but has not received the serious adverse reactions report till now. So do they have, they're saying nobody reported the serious adverse reaction after 10 million jabs. So that's interesting. Now, I wanted to also look at the pricing comparison. So here we have vaccine, the type, price, and number of doses. So AstraZeneca, adenovirus type, $4 per dose, 2 doses, so about $8. Johnson & Johnson, 1 dose, adenovirus, $10 for 1 dose. Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, messenger RNA, $19 per dose, 2 doses, so about $38. Moderna, messenger RNA type, $37, $35 to $32 to $37, 2 doses. And that I think would be both doses, I guess. And then Sputnik V, adenovirus, lesser than $10 per dose, 2 doses, so lesser than $20. Sinopharm, inactive virus, lesser than $145 for both doses. Compare that with Covaxin, which is India's inactive virus vaccine. For the Indian government, $2.8 per dose. So they had given the numbers in rupees. I converted them to today's dollar rate. 2 doses. And for the world market or private market, $14 per dose. So now let me show you where they say $145. So here, it's expected to cost a couple of hundred yuan for one shot, and it would be less than 1,000 yuan. So 145 for 2 doses. So exactly less than would mean what? We don't know yet. Is it $10, $20 or is it $100 or 135? But 145 or lesser is a very large price for a vaccine. Okay, so continuing on. Where is this vaccine approved so far? Approvals. And how are things here? I'm making sure that my computer is hanging. So Flower says, so what vaccine has the best numbers, the best protection? So again, from the protection point of view, based on both doses, all of these vaccines are saying 80% and above. Moderna and Pfizer are 95%, 94%. So their numbers are very good. These vaccines about 80% and above. So that's okay as well. Of course, we can see now cheaper vaccines compared to this, Moderna and Pfizer, and better efficacy. So now which countries? They say, the company says that about 50 countries have shown their interest to buy these. Some countries that have already approved and are buying are the following. So I'm going to go this way. China itself, then Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Jordan, Iraq, Seychelles, Zimbabwe, Egypt, Morocco. I left Pakistan, UAE, Bahrain in here, then Bolivia, Peru, and then Hungary, Montenegro, and Serbia. These are, so these Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, almost all continents have various countries that are buying from them. So that is the approval. Now, how is this vaccine made? This is a similar diagrams that we saw with the Indian vaccines as well. So before I go to this discussion, this is a detailed mechanism of action of the vaccine. Let me just quickly look here. Does this make sense? Denise says, listening while I make my dinner. Denise, what are you cooking? Robert said, are you following the new Canadian soluble ivermectin? I'll check it out. Gold Country says the screen went. Today, my computer is hanging a little bit as well. So maybe I need to do something with my machine. I need to buy a new computer, I guess. Okay, so if you are okay, let's continue on to the way it is manufactured. And then we would maybe stop and do the chit chat. But generally, this is what is happening in Sinopharm. So let's look at how it is made. This is also made in Vero cells. So that is a good news as well for those who do not want to be using the vaccines that are made in the copies of the or clones of the fetal tissue, human fetal tissue. If they don't want to do that, these vaccines are fine. India's vaccine is also made in Vero cell. Vero cells are derived from the kidney tissue of green monkeys, African green monkeys. So that is why they're called Vero. Vero means green. And this vaccine is also made in Vero cells. And also, this inactivated vaccine making in Vero cell is not a new technology. It is an older technology. It is tested more often than the messenger RNA. So there, I read the interview from the chairman of that company, and he was saying, look what I do for you. I had to go over all the interviews and all those articles. But here's the deal. He was saying that, hey, for messenger RNA type vaccines, these are newer. We do not know their effects. But Vero cell technology has been out there for a long time. And we know their side effects and we know their efficacy and safety. So because of that, this should be a better vaccine. This is his message. Okay, so now let's see. What we do, how do we make this vaccine? This is the same thing as we did with India's as well. So we take a virus, So for example, remember in India's case, the virus was taken from Pune. So we take an active virus, let's say SARS-CoV-2, we put that in viro cells. These are the cells derived from the monkey, and we infect them and we let the virus grow in there. Once the virus has infected the cells, these cells become a factory. Every cell is a factory of making viruses. Then they put those cells in suitable environment where the cells can grow and they can allow the viruses to grow inside. So these cells become tiny microscopic factories. Then they store these cells and then they let them grow. So if you see here, I'm going to go one by one because I'm so proud of these little tiny viruses that I drew. So what they do is once they have these factories going, which are the viro cells, and inside them are the SARS-CoV-2. And now SARS-CoV-2 are replicating and increasing in number, and then they are going to break the cell and come out of it. And what would happen is they would then, just like with, I always give this example, just like with bees, honeybees, we take the honey from them. Just like that, imagine these cells that are making the virus are honeybees, and then they're making more viruses. And those viruses are then taken out from them. They are stolen from them. So here, these viruses or supernatant, that is the viruses that are made and they are coming out of the cells, that supernatant is taken from these factories. So here you can see these coronaviruses, SARS-CoV-2 kind of partying and saying, oh God, we got our own little dish here in which we can live. And then what we do is we take these viruses. And remember, I talked about this one last time, that he probably is looking at a sunset and is very happy. The other guys are also looking to have fun. So what we do is then we pour on them, or we douse them with beta-propionolactone. This substance, what it does is it goes and binds to the RNA of the virus, or the genetic material of the virus, and disables it. This is like, imagine the virus's brain is removed, or it has been bound with a chemical substance and the brain cannot function anymore. So now this virus has become inactive virus. It cannot function, but it is just there. The dead body is there. So then here is the virus. If you see, this virus is SARS-CoV-2 is all sad. Why? Because its RNA has the chemical substance attached with it. And so now the virus is kind of inactivated. What they do is they put those viruses in another cultural environment, cultural. So I think from their parties, I'm thinking about cultural events in another culture environment to see if they would grow. If they don't grow, that means they have become inactivated. So once they have confirmed that they do not grow anymore, then what they do is they once again filter these viruses. So they have them pass through some filters. And what happens is only the viruses are kept, and all other pieces of broken cells and other chemical substances, these are all filtered out. So what we are left with are these zombie viruses. Their RNAs don't work. So in my diagram, they look a little alert. They're not alert. Their RNAs are not working. So once we have these viruses, these are the vaccines. So what we do is we add aluminum to them. That aluminum acts as an adjuvant. So here these black crystal-like structures are aluminum. That has been added to the virus as an adjuvant, and it would irritate the immune system. One of the studies we talked about with the ADE, it was interesting to see in that study that those vaccines that had aluminum as an adjuvant were a little more protective from ADE compared to others. So somehow aluminum is protective of ADE. So here, now imagine this is our immune system, and the vaccine is given. The vaccine has these zombie viruses and aluminum with it that causes our immune system to become active. So this is a dendritic cell. It is holding a virus. It's going to eat it up, phagocytose it, and break it and present it. And then there is aluminum as well that is irritating it. All of that would cause this cell to become hyperactive. It will then present the broken virus pieces to the immune system, And I think we all know this diagram very well. This is a naive T cell. The naive T cell in the presence of interleukin 4 or absence of interleukin 12 becomes T helper 2. So T helper 2 cell will then cause a B cell to become active or plasma cell, and that will make antibodies. On the other hand, if there is interleukin 12 present, then a naive T cell will become T helper 1 cell. T helper 1 cell in turn will then activate the cytotoxic T cells, and the cytotoxic T cells would also help with the virus infected cells. So this would then cause the vaccine to ready our immune system to fight with the actual virus when it comes in. So once again, this is something that I am still concerned about more on the vaccine, and that is no serious side effects yet from 10 million people who have received the vaccine. So this is the discussion. Let me just very quickly see if there are any comments. And I was thinking that instead of stopping and then starting again, maybe we keep going, and then I can afterwards edit the video and split these two parts, the chit chat part from the vaccine part, and so I can split them, whichever way you like. Gary says Dr. Bean is multi-talented. Thank you very much. Flower says, I think these drawings are very talented. Thank you. Cool. So what do you think? Should we hang up and then start again, or should we keep going and I split the video afterwards? I can easily split the video. It would just take about a day. So today I'll split it, and it takes about a day of processing on YouTube to separate it out. It will not be splittable on Facebook and other platforms. So I think we should hang up and come back so it is split in all platforms. Otherwise, I can do it on YouTube, but not on others. So let's stop for the time being, and I'm going to come back. So my customary traditional message. So please like, subscribe, and share if you like this work. Do subscribe and share. Like the video as well. It actually helps me because then the message is spread more. And then if you wanted to support this channel, there is a link in the description to buy me a coffee. There is another link to become my patron. And then there is another link to support my work in general if you wanted to. So with this, I'm going to stop, and then I'll come back online in a couple of minutes.